How do you want to do this?
Hello, I'm Kat, and welcome to Bardic Inspiration, where we spotlight players and dungeon masters alike who enjoy the collaborative storytelling role-playing game of Dungeons & Dragons. Our spotlight guest is both a longtime player and a recent dungeon master.
My name is Michaela Kekel, or in my country, Michaela Kekelova. It's good to be here.
She is from
Slovakia. If you say that you know Slovakia, then that's a lie. Nobody knows about us. Why do people like playing Dungeons and Dragons? In my opinion, at least, as a person who loves fantasy and anything RPG related, it's like a video game, but you actually can like decide what you want to say and what you want to do, and it's really raw. What do I like about it is definitely that you can be creative and create something on the spot, and you are not going to be corrected by it because it's your character, it's your person that you're playing, and it can be whatever you want it to be, and it just motivates me to be much more creative when I'm writing, when I'm drawing. Why do people like to play is definitely a reason. Like if you're a creative person, it will give you a reason to be much more creative, to be able to improvise on the spot and be able to feed your creativity with different people, but also for your own creative spirit. Is it popular in Slovakia? At least in my city, when I asked around, nobody had any idea about what Dungeons and Dragons is, even though when I tried to explain it to them, they cannot even relate to it. And I realized that because as a country we're more into like the old Slavic traditional games, there's nothing really related to like storytelling or like playing and pretending to be somebody else. There's always so much structure, and I think there might be some individuals who might have known it but not in my city. When I've asked around, sadly nobody that I wanted to know about Dungeons and Dragons had no idea about what it is, or not even going to have like the will to try to do or play with me. Well, I definitely am noticing that it's becoming more popular here in the United States, because here people, as I notice, like coming back and forth from my country and here, is that people are here more into fandoms than actual my people, and because of media growing and there being more people not being afraid to show their creativity and their passions, is becoming much more shown in podcasts, in YouTube, just videos, and also in TV shows now becoming related to Dungeons and Dragons, like for instance, as we saw it in Stranger Things. And people also, what I talked to most people when they saw Stranger Things, they were also interested, like, hey, what is that thing that their kids are playing? It sounds cool and interesting. So that's why I think maybe people started to like see it. But then also people like Critical Role, which they just wanted to show their love for this game, and because they were so successful, I think that's why they got so much more seen, because then people were like also inspired by them, then they wanted to do their own version, and then the other people have their versions, and that's how I think it started growing. I have a really large imagination, and having a medium where you can actually expand it even more and actually have like a purpose of it, like it actually has a story that starts and ends. That's why I was really interested in it. It brings me so much joy, because what caught my interest is that you can be whatever you want to be, and you don't have to really be judged by it, because it's just part of the story. Dungeons and Dragons, why do I love it? I think everything. I do love that with everybody that you join, like a different group, there's always a different story, and you can always try to experiment with who you want to be. Playing like always, like you can be this like really nice character with like these little quirks, or you can be a total homicidal maniac, and you can always just see how it would be if you were actually like doing it but without actually harming anybody in real life. So that's also fun about it. What do I gain by playing Dungeons and Dragons? For me, new material to think about. When I'm working, it's always good to like think about like, oh, what I could have done or what's gonna happen next. It feeds off my creativity. It gives me much more excitement of like, oh, what if I can do this next time, or I can actually draw what happened last time, or what I think they actually look like these characters that the other person created, or what I am thinking of using. Playing it for now about 6 years, discovering Critical Role and showing me like, hey, there's people around that want to actually play this, and then learning that my friend actually has a group and she's like, hey, do you want to join us? That's what got me into it. And playing it after, let's say in 2015, it opened a door to something much more greater than I am now. My now longest playing group that we've been playing for 2 years now together, and we always religiously meet on every single Sunday. I made a deal with my boss that I cannot ever work Sundays because that's my D&D time and nobody will take that time from me. With them, I definitely grown closer. Coming from my country and coming from the situation I was feeling really lonely, and the only friend who talked to me, she was like, hey, you like fantasy? You wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons? Come and join this group. So I joined them, and they didn't expect me to be ready to play. They just thought I was gonna be like, oh, let me just watch. And then they were, I think what impressed them was that I was from a different country, plus also wanting to play already and already having like a presentation and a sheet ready, be like, yes, I'm ready to play. And since then, getting to know each other's characters, but also our personal lives, we definitely grew closer, and now they're my lifelong friends, and some of the people really helped me to where I am now today. Being a dungeon master and being a player is so different. Being a player, it gives you much less stress about what's going on really in the story. Like when you're a player, you don't have to really like remember what's going on or where you are. You just like feed off of what the dungeon master is telling you or what your other players are doing. But when you're the dungeon master, you're the leader of the whole story. You have to keep the group concentrated on what's going on, give them the information, the fights, the numbers, and where they're located. And also playing much more characters than they are playing, because when you're a player, you only play one character the whole time. A dungeon master plays many, around 2 a day, 5 to 20 to higher, and it can get overwhelming, but it's really fun because the fun thing is being a dungeon master is that even though you might forget something and they think that you have all the information, you can be just like, yes, I totally planned this and this is what I really wanted in the story. Yes, my children, you're following really well. If somebody is interested in Dungeons and Dragons and they never played it, I would tell them, don't be scared. I know there's many books, many numbers, but you don't really have to start from there. You just need to find a good group of people who might have an idea about what's going on. At least in the United States, there are many groups that are willing to do sessions with new people. Many comic book stores, they noticed here, do every single typical once a week, like an open D&D session where you can come to the store and they'll help you create a character sheet. Or there's also lots of online sites that you can play, like Roll20, which you can join any online groups for D&D. Also D&D Beyond, if you want to check it out, there's many rules, explanations, and a character sheet that you can do and not have to worry about the numbers because it automatically levels you up and it can give you a better idea of what's going on. Also watching YouTube videos, for instance, for me, Critical Role, it gave me a lot of explanation. There was also a series made by Matthew Mercer about how to play D&D, how to be a dungeon master, how to be a player, what are dice, what are all these rules. So there's many opportunities to learn about how to play Dungeons and Dragons. If you have the will, there will be the way.
Thank you for listening to Bardic Inspiration, and thank you to Michaela Kekel. The music featured in this interview is from Incompetech.com. Details can be found in the description. Thank you, and may you always roll with inspiration.